Welcome once again to another English language class. Today in our lesson we will be looking at adverbs. Adverbs. So what are adverbs? Adverbs are words or parts of speech that modify or describe verbs, adjectives, or sentences. They modify or describe verbs, adjectives, or sentences. Now, if you can recall, parts of speech, something we've looked at in our previous lesson. Parts of speech refer to those words that are named based on the roles that they play in sentences or speeches. The functions they carry out determine the names they are called. So the different parts of speech we have, for instance, are nouns. Noun is one of them. Remember, the noun is the name of a person, place, animal, or thing. There is the pronoun. This refers to words that can be used in place of noun. For instance, he, she, they. Okay, and then we also have adjectives. Just giving examples of parts of speech to remind us of what parts of speech are. Okay, so we have adjectives. Those describe nouns. For instance, girl is a noun. If you say a beautiful girl, that beautiful, this is describing the girl, and that beautiful is an adjective. We also have adverb, right? Adverb is also one of them, and that is what we will be looking at today. So we say that this adverb here helps to modify verbs. Sorry, I didn't mention verbs. Verbs are also parts of speech, and verbs refer to action words. So this adverb here helps to describe verbs, helps to modify verbs, and it could also modify adjectives and then sentences generally. But in this lesson today, we're going to be focusing on just the verbs, how adverbs help to modify or describe verbs. For this level and for the purpose of this lesson, we will be focusing more on how adverbs modify or describe verbs. So next we're going to look at the different types of adverbs that we have, and we also take a look at some examples to help us gain deeper understanding. So let's look at the types of adverbs that we have. So the first one we'll be looking at is adverb of manner. Adverb of manner. This adverb tells how an action is carried out. It describes the way an action is carried out. And remember, verb is an action word. Okay? So this tells how the verb is, the way the action is carried out. So some examples here are, she speaks softly. This is the verb here. Remember, this is the action. So, and the softly here tells us how this action is carried out. She speaks softly. The second example here is, he is sitting quietly. And again, you notice here, sitting, this is the action word. So the sitting is a verb, and this is adverb telling us more about the action, sitting. He is sitting quietly. And the last example here is, our teacher teaches well. Again, the teaches here is the action word, it is the verb, and the well tells us how the teacher teaches. So these are some examples of adverb of manner, the type of adverb that tells us how actions are carried out. So the next adverb we're looking at is adverb of place. Adverb of place tells where an action occurs or happens. It tells the place where an action occurs. Some examples here are, the boys sang in school. So in this sentence, the place where the action happened is school. The boys sang in school. So school is the adverb of place here. The next example here says, you may go outside. You may go outside. Go there is the verb and the place to go is outside. And the last example here says, sit over there. So over there is the place where the action is to be carried out. So these underlined words here are the adverb of the adverbs of place. They indicate where actions occur. So the next example of adverbs you're looking at is adverb of time. Adverb of time tells us when an action occurs. So this answers the question of when. Okay, so examples here include, she is traveling next week. When is she traveling? Next week. The travel here is the verb, remember, the action. So it's happening next week. I will see you tomorrow. See here is the verb. When is the thing going to occur? Tomorrow. And lastly, the event will take place later. Later. So the three underlined words here, next week, tomorrow, later, they are all adverbs of time. They tell when an event occurs or an action occurs. Next is adverb of frequency. Adverb of frequency. This tells us how often an action occurs. How often? Is it every time? Is it every day? Is it weekly? How often an action occurs is indicated by adverb of frequency. So some examples here are, I go to the mall often. That means I go to the mall. My going to the mall is something that happens every now and then. So often here is an adverb of frequency. The next example says, she paints daily. That means she paints every day. She does it every day. And the last example here says, the professor rarely misses his class. He hardly misses his class. So this indicates how often the professor goes to class or misses his class. So the three words here underlined, often, daily, and rarely, are examples of adverb of frequency. So the next example or type of adverb we're looking at is adverb of degree. Adverb of degree tells us the extent to which an action occurs. It tells us the extent, the degree, to which an action occurs, the intensity of an action. For example, the class is unusually quiet today. You can just say the class is quiet today, but then when you use unusually here, it tells the degree of the quietness of the class, that they are strangely quiet the way they normally are not. So the class is unusually quiet today. It tells strangely how the class is quiet, like it's not the normal way. The second example here says, I have almost finished my work. Again, almost here tells us the level or the extent to which the work is finished. Almost finished my work. And then the last example here says, it is very hot outside. It is very hot outside. So very here tells us the degree of the hotness of the weather outside. So those words unusually, almost, and very, they are adverbs of degree. They help to show the extent of the work, the extent of the action that is being carried out. So the last example we're going to look at in types of adverbs is adverb of reason. Adverb of reason. This adverb tells us why an action occurs. It tells the reason behind an action or the purpose for an action. It's also called adverb of purpose. Okay, adverb of reason is the same as adverb of purpose. So some examples we have here are: she came late because. The reason she came late is she missed the train. She came late because she missed the train. Another example here says, since Jumi did not study, she failed. Since Jumi did not study, just as she failed her exams. Okay, the reason she failed is that she didn't study. Okay, so this is what we're going to call it a day in this lesson. I hope we have learned something. We hope to see you again next week. Until then, stay safe and stay blessed.